Hello everybody out there, this is Seto Kaiba from your Yu-Gi-Oh chat channel, and today I'm going to profile for you guys replacements and ways you might want to run some of your decks now since we know the TCG ban list and stuff like that. And this is what I've been playing with over the last week, by the way, and things I'm seeing other players do. So it's just suggestions, you don't have to take them. If you have suggestions, you feel free to add them to the list down below so we all can know what to play now as replacements for traps and stuff like that for cards that got hit. So for Gravekeepers, I have to say now, if you're going to play Gravekeepers, I would play most likely the Gravekeeper Visionary engine or the Gravekeeper Malefic engine. I find more consistent though is the Gravekeeper Visionary engine, where you keep Visionary alive, you abuse your Gravekeepers, kind of like my Gravekeepers Beatdown deck. If you don't know what that is, go back and check a video from like 2-3 weeks ago when I posted that video up. We will have an update for you on that deck because I have updated the deck a little bit. But yeah, that's what I say about Gravekeepers. They're still a good deck and they're still very powerful. For Dark World players out there, run Morphine Jar. I was already running it in this previous format. It worked out well, and it can be a replacement for card destruction. Discard all, whatever that card's name is, I can't remember off the top of my head. But since that's banned, you can run this card in replacement of it. I know it's a monster. I know it gives your opponent 5 cards and gives you 5 cards, but it can really give you the ability, just like card destruction, to plus a lot and just get a whole bunch of pluses and win from there. And it can get you out of some sticky situations too. Another card too I've been trying out with my Dark Worlds is the Cheerful Coffin. I feel like the guy is crying because card destruction is now banned, so he will cry. But actually, he does pretty good. He can get you out of those clunky hands with Dark Worlds. You can discard up to 3 monsters. It's not discard your entire hand, but it can come in handy, believe me. And I would suggest it to any Dark World player. If you're not going to run Cheerful Coffin, run Dark Smog. I've been trying this out. I took it out eventually, but you can try it out too. Another thing for my 6 Samurai players, Gateway gone, 6 Samurais are still a good deck. But I have to tell you off the top of my head, try Dojo. Try Shien's Dojo. Please try it. Run 3 asceticisms, run 2 dojos, and I promise you, you will thank me. That's all I gotta say about that. 6 Samurais are not dead. Now for replacements for traps. Replacement cards for traps, I've been trying a whole slew of different things. Everything from Sakuretsu Armor to Mirror Force. First card I find very useful is Creature Swap. Now, Creature Swap I wouldn't use in big, powerful monsters. So, say you run Heretics, I wouldn't run Creature Swap. But if I'm running a lot of low-level monsters, like somewhere between 14, say I'm running Agents, for example, Agent, TCG Agents, whichever you're running, variation of agents you're running. If you're running agents, say you have a Shining Ball in hand, say you have Mystery of Earth in hand, you use its effect, you go Creature Swap, you steal their big monster, and you can proceed from there. It's not as situational as it once was, I would say, so try it out. If you don't like it, you can switch it out for Enemy Controller, which I'll talk about in a bit, but try Creature Swap out as a replacement. It actually comes in handy a lot. Smashing Ground. I used to run this card a lot back in the day. It used to be at 1, I think, for a while. Now, I would say this card is actually very good again. It does good against things like War Gods. Smashing Ground can come in handy against War God and stuff like that. But in general, it's actually a good card. It's not, like I said, it is a little situational, but it comes in handy more than you would think. Try it out. If you don't like it, you don't have to run it, but I've been trying it out in gadgets and stuff like that. Enemy Controller. I actually have been putting this card back in a lot of my decks. It's not as good as Book of Moon. It's not as versatile, but it can save your ass. So say they get a big monster on the field. You just go A, B, C, change the battle position to defense position, run the monster over with your smaller monster and possibly win that way. Or you contribute the monster and steal the monster for a turn and probably maybe OTK them. Or tribute it, do something with it, exceed with it, stuff like that. But I find Enemy Controller a lot more viable now in a format with all these traps hit. It's actually one of the best choices, I would have to say. It's quick spell cards, so that's a bonus too. You can activate on your opponent's turn if they summon something. Say they synchro, say they exceed, just put in defense position, then your turn you run it over. So it does have its versatility uses, so I would try that. Mirror Force, I have to say, for most decks out there, you gotta run Mirror Force at 2. A lot of us were talking about, oh, Mirror Force is going back to 3. Yeah, it's not that good as it once was. Now, since pretty much all our other traps are hit down to 1, Mirror Force has become a staple again. So try running Mirror Forces. If I find Mirror Force a little bit better than DD Prison, except in the case of Fire Kings. Fiendish Chain. This thing is coming out in the Blue Eye Structure deck, if you did not know. It came out last year in the Legend of the Six Samurai Structure deck, I think it did. But it's coming out also in the Blue Eye Structure deck. So if you have any other reason to buy the Blue Eye Structure deck, buy it for your Fiendish Chains. This card is pretty much your staple trap card now. Yes, it may hurt if you're running Gores or if you're running Call of the Haunted. But it actually comes in handy, and I'm running 2 to 3 in each on some of my decks. Call the Haunted. Now, replacements for Monster Reborn are not as good as anything else. You know, we don't have Premature Burial, we don't have Monster Reborn, so what are some good, okay replacements? I'm more of a fan of Call of the Haunted than I am Pinpoint Guard, which I'll talk about in a second, but I feel Call of the Haunted is your best replacement if you want to replace it. Now, some decks, I didn't replace it at all. So, for example, in my Insector build, I put 3 Call of the Haunted in because Monster Reborn is gone. But in some of my decks, I just didn't replace Monster Reborn. I just put something else in. So you don't have to. You can still run the deck without it. I replaced it maybe with an MST, a Night Beam. I'm trying a whole bunch of different things out. So yeah, you don't have to replace Monster Reborn. It's a good top decker and could do different plays, but you don't have to replace it. You can replace it with Call of the Haunted and just do good. Now for Pinpoint Guard, it's only good in certain decks. It's not as versatile as I feel Call of the Haunted is, which you can activate on any other turn. Pinpoint Guard is good for decks like Battling Boxers and stuff like that. So if you're running Battling Boxers, I would say run 1 Pinpoint Guard. It comes in handy. Now, replacements for Solemn Judgment. There's a lot of good generic counter trap cards out there I have to tell you guys about. For example, in Gravekeepers, in Insectors, in my Dark type decks, I'm running Dark Illusion currently. It's a very good card. Pretty much for me, Solemn Judgment was to stop people from blowing up or trying to destroy my, I guess you could say, monster cards. And for the longest time, I didn't like Solemn Judgment once it went down to 1. But I can run Dark Illusion. I pretty much don't, I just put it on the field if they try to start a dark monster. So if, say you're running a lot of dark monsters in your main deck, and it revolves around dark monsters, then run Dark Illusion. If not, I would run Dark Bribe. Yes, people say they don't like this card. Yes, it's not as good as Solemn Judgment. Yes, it has its, your opponent gets to draw 1 card. But it's up to you. I've heard now this was suggested to me by players. I don't run Dark Bribe, but I know a lot of people consider Dark Bribe actually better than Solemn Judgment. I mean, that's them, but not me. So just understand you can do that. Now, I'm going to talk about another thing too. People have been talking about field spell cards coming back in the game. What about equip spell cards? Heavy's banned. Equip spell cards can make a comeback. I was at one of my locals this weekend, and guess what deck I ran into? I ran into a Power Tool deck. If you guys do not know what a Power Tool deck is, you gotta go back to like when Synchros first came out, and there was this dragon called Power Tool Dragon. If you know that's Power Tool Dragon. Yes, I'm pronouncing that correctly. So I have to say, off the top of my head, equip spell cards, equip monsters, they're back. I'm seeing players run that more because Heavy's gone and they become more valuable. So things like United We Stand are more valuable now because Heavy is gone. So try that out too. If you run like a spam deck that summons a lot of monsters like Karakuris, Six Samurais, which they can still do that even without Gateway, stuff like that, try United We Stand on for size. It's actually very valuable. So those are my replacement cards. If I come up with any more, I will let you guys know. If you have any you would like to suggest so we all can, figure out what we can do to replace cards that, since, staple cards out there that we have, then please comment down below so we all can enjoy and try to make our decks better now for the new coming format. But till next time, everybody, take care, have fun. I hope this was helpful in some way. If I have any more, I'll put them in the information down below. But take care, everybody. Seto Kaiba, I'm out of here.